Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse podcast, the official podcast of filmpulse.net. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode number 176. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today, Kevin Rakestraw. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing pretty good.
This week we'll be reviewing Alex R. Johnson's Two Step, and in a first for the podcast, we'll be reviewing a TV series with Wet Hot American Summer First Day of Camp. Of course, we'll be going over some of what we've been watching, this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand, DVD and Blu-ray releases. Remember, you can send us your questions. Podcast at filmpulse.net is the address. And please take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/filmpulse, and consider subscribing for as little as $1 per month and help keep the podcast and the website running. We appreciate that so very much. We're going to just dive right into our first review. I was thinking we could start with Two Step, get that out of the way, and then dive into Wet Hot. So, Two Step, written and directed by Alex R. Johnson. It's funny, on the IMDb page, it says writers, Alex R. Johnson, Alex R. Johnson.
He wrote it twice.
I have a synopsis here. The lives of James, a directionless college dropout, and Webb, a career criminal, with his back against the wall, violently collide.
Oh, man.
So this is out this week on VOD and in select cities. Now, I think that I'll start this one off. You were going to be writing a review for this one, yes?
You are correct.
Okay, so I'll start this one off. I thought it was okay. Hard stop. What?
And we're done.
Why is it that, like, so often the movies that we review on this show, I have so little to say about a lot of them? I think maybe because we do a lot of VOD releases, and it's just like, meh. Yeah, there was...
It's one of those that you just kind of want to be like, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, there wasn't any...
Just move on.
There wasn't anything inherently wrong with Two Step. I think the whole Two Step marketing, like the title and all of that stuff relating to the dancing that he had with Beth Broderick. I'm not really that all that stuff doesn't really fit in for me because it played such a small part.
Yes.
In the movie.
There's so many things that play really small parts, small roles that don't, and you're expecting it to kind of come together.
Yeah.
In some way at the end to make it, I don't know, give it the purpose, I guess. But, like, nothing comes together.
Yeah.
At all. Like, Beth Broderick's entire character really doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, she does so little. Like, I thought she was going to come in and get involved and save him or help him in some way, but it really, she doesn't do much of anything. For a second, I thought that there was going to be some sort of love interest thing, some kind of weird love interest thing happening there, but that doesn't really happen. And then it seems like she's going to be kind of a mother figure to him, but that also doesn't really happen.
And that's the only thing I can think of for her character, the character of Horace, played by Barry Tubb. The same thing is that I guess perhaps they're trying to be their misdirects. Like you think, but in all honesty, like at the end when everything's said and done and it's over, credits are rolling. That was the first thought that runs through my head was, why did all of this exist?
Yeah, especially... Okay, let's back up and just go over the plot a little bit, because I think that the synopsis here doesn't really say much about it. So, Sky Moore plays this kid James, who his parents previously passed away, his grandmother passes away, and he gets an inheritance from her. And as it turns out, while his grandmother was alive, she was being scammed by this guy named Webb, played by James Landry Hebert, while he was in prison. And he was kind of pretending to be her grandson and get her to wire money to him. And as it turns out, he gets out of prison. He owes some money. He owes 10 grand to the local convenience store owner. for something. But I don't even know. Do they even say what he owes them money for?
No, I don't think so.
And it turns out that all the money that he was kind of scamming out of people, his girlfriend took that money and ran away with it. And Sky Moore's character of James figures out that he was scamming his grandma and tries to set him up, sort of, but it doesn't really work out, and he ends up getting caught.
You can just tell in your voice your interest levels.
Well, I was interested. I was interested maybe halfway. It kept my attention maybe halfway to the halfway point. But going back to the Horace Barry Tubb thing, so James ends up meeting this neighbor lady from across the street, played by Beth Broderick. Her name's Dot in the movie, and they kind of developed this friendship because I guess Dot looked in on his grandma every now and then, and they take this kind of side plot where Dot is having this relationship with Horace. He plays a cop, and he's married, and I feel like they go way too deep into that because
it's like a whole nother movie.
Yeah, it feels utterly pointless. Because it goes nowhere.
It goes absolutely nowhere.
It goes nowhere, and there's just like they didn't need that in there to establish Dot as a character.
Then not only that, before we get into the whole Horace thing, they have, and I don't know if this is just because the movie's called Two Step, they spend all that time, showing you Dot's career as a dance instructor at like numerous different places. She's at bars teaching people how to dance. She's at schools teaching people how to dance, nursing homes, all this stuff for, again, no reason.
Yeah, nothing.
No reason.
Nothing. And I just didn't get. I didn't get why. The movie's called Two Step. You think that there's going to be some sort of connection there other than the fact that there's one scene where she teaches him how to to dance. I don't know. It was kind of confounding how this played out.
Yeah, and really that's the only thing that kind of keeps you. So if you're listening to this before you watch the movie, we're kind of ruining it for you because you're hanging in there thinking like, well, how is this going to come together? How are they going to pull all this stuff? Because for a while there, for much of the movie, it feels like two separate movies. It feels like you have Webb and James, what's going on there with the small-time crime and the conning and everything and the breaking and entering. And then on the flip side, you have, Dot and Horace and what's going to happen with their relationship. And you're like, well, how are these going to come together? And they never do.
Spoiler, they don't.
They don't at all. Which is just... And then it just ends abruptly.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay. I mean, it's not a terrible movie, per se.
No.
But it's just, you do wonder to yourself at the end of it, like, okay, what was the point of this?
Yeah.
It's extremely forgettable. We're talking about an unbelievably straightforward film. Like, there's no thematic elements. There's no room for interpretation. It's just, this happens, and then this happens, and this happens, and then this happens. And then roll credits.
Yeah, it's a very straightforward
There's no
thriller.
There's no tension. There's just it felt so unbelievably flat.
Yeah.
And especially at the beginning, it just felt like no one was into this at all. And then thank God, James Landry Hebert, even him at the beginning, it seems like he's sleepwalking through everything. But then once he gets to be like the villain, the movie kind of comes alive a little bit. And, I think he does a great job of like kind of holding your attention.
Yeah. I want to go through some positives that I had with this movie because I feel like we've been tough on it. And I actually did. I thought the movie was fine. I was entertained by it. I didn't think it was a bad movie by any means. I thought that the performances were quite good, and like you said, just to reiterate, James Landry Haber as Webb, I thought that he was a really good villain. I mean, he was the son of a bitch. And I thought that he did a really good job. In fact, I thought that all the performances were fine. I thought everybody did a pretty good job with what they were working with.
I did like the fact that like James just doesn't exist anymore after Webb breaks into the house.
Yeah.
He's not. He doesn't. He's like not a character anymore. He just sits in a chair.
That's his role from that point on. Chair sit. I like the setting. I like movies that take place in small towns like this, and I thought
small town southern crime drama.
Yeah, I like that. I like that aesthetic, and I thought that the visuals. I thought that the cinematography aided that aesthetic. I thought that they did a good job with like all their establishing shots and all of that stuff. I thought looked quite good.
They were really stuck on like the points of roofs.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, there's like 7 shots of that.
There's a lot of shots of birds on wires too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On telephone or electrical wires.
So yeah, there's that. I did not like the cinematography. The camera just kept wandering. The camera's moving constantly for no reason whatsoever. Just as soon as the shot, boom, cut to the shot, and then the camera just starts to wander to the right, or it just starts to wander up, or it wanders to the left. And I started to focus on that because I didn't understand why they were doing this, and they do it in like every single shot. And the only thing I could think of is that the camera is like trying to get away from this movie and find a more entertaining one or a more interesting movie. It was extremely distracting, I thought. I don't know why. I got hooked on that.
That didn't bother me.
Well, it bothered me. It bothered me, Adam. It's one of those like, okay, so we sort of ran through the plot of it, everything, and it's a small town crime drama, southern, and it just feels like all of them.
Yeah, it does.
That's ever existed. It doesn't stick out in any way whatsoever.
It doesn't do a whole lot more than what we've seen before. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's not a lot going on here.
I will say another thing that I just wanted to mention that I liked was the opening title sequence. I liked that. I like the opening credits.
Going the old school route, giving you all those visual clues.
I liked it. I thought it
Tabasco.
looked pretty good.
I don't know what's up with the recent trend of having to watch people eat things in real time. Like, why is that a thing now? And the only reason I say this is because, and this is personal, that one of my biggest pet peeves ever is hearing people eat.
Yeah.
I hate the sound of people eating, and when I hear it, the only thing I want to do is punch faces to make it stop. And then there's a scene here where Dwayne just wants to eat his fucking eggs, and then you got to sit there and listen to him eat his eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Stop that. Stop this trend of having to watch people eat. And because we had it earlier this year with Buzzard, having to watch Joshua, was it Bird?
Yeah.
We had to watch him eat a plate of spaghetti in real time.
That was hilarious, though.
That was kind of funny, but still, I'm not a fan of it, and I want it to stop.
He tore through those eggs pretty quick, though.
He did run through those eggs. I'll give him that. But what do you think of the accents?
Well, it's tough. It's tough to really gauge the Texas accent for me, because a lot of times when people have genuine Texas accents, to me it sounds like they're putting on a fake Southern accent. So for me, it was hard to tell because it all kind of sounded a little fake.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. It's a lot of different types of accents going on.
Yeah, so I don't know. It didn't bother me too much. I mean, I noticed it. Like, it was enough so that I actually did make a mental note of it. but it wasn't too much for me to just be like, oh god.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's just not.
I thought all the characters were pretty interesting. I just didn't, there's just not a lot going on with them. Like I liked the lawyer character, but
yeah, and you gotta hear him eat a fucking hamburger.
yeah,
God, I'm getting sick and tired of having to listen to people eat.
that's the big takeaway from this movie.
Well, for me, Two Step, there's no life to it. Outside of James Landry, Hebert, coming alive a little bit when he gets to really, latch into the villain role, where he starts going over the top with it. He really starts to develop into he starts off as just like a son of a bitch con man, he's a dick.
Yeah,
but then
he escalates.
Yeah, it escalates rather quickly, and that's the only place that I actually saw like life in this film. Everything else just felt completely flat to me. There was just no energy to it.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one.
No energy.
It was a little bit of a manila folder for me, honestly.
A little bit. But again, it's one of those things where there's not a lot that you can point out like, oh, this was terrible. The acting was awful, or the script is terrible, and the plot progressions don't make any sense. Like none of that. It's a competent film. It's fine. It's nothing more than that.
Right. It doesn't elevate the genre.
No,
very much.
It doesn't even stand out in the genre. Like you're gonna forget about this. You probably already have. Is my guess.
I mean, at least it's not trying to do the crime comedy Tarantino ripoff. At least it's not that.
Yeah, it's refreshing that they don't do that. They don't try too hard. That they fall flat on their face, but at the same time they don't try.
Right.
Too
hard. It's not overly stylized or anything like that, where it's just a disaster. This is very much a serious movie. Not a lot of comedy or anything in it, but I don't know. I thought that the violence was pretty visceral, but there's not a whole lot of it.
No.
So
it's
kind of a meh. It's kind of a meh for me.
I would agree.
Scoring it, I'd probably just I'll throw out a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's straight down the middle.
Yeah,
it's one of those that, I could see people enjoying it because it delivers on.
Yeah, this was received pretty well at South by Southwest, which I could totally understand. I mean, if I saw this at South by Southwest, I'd probably get that festival bump just because you're in Texas and you're in that vibe. But as a home watch, it was pretty middle of the road for me.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's funny though, because I saw another movie this week that was pretty middle of the road, and I'll probably write a review for this. I haven't decided yet, but looking at them side by side, the other one that I saw that was middle of the road, I was much more harsh on that one. Like I was much more offended by just how middle of the road it was. So I don't know what that says about this movie, but sometimes when I see a movie where they just do nothing, I guess it's just horror movies that I get more offended, where it's just like, you've done nothing. You literally just remade a movie that's been remade a million other times.
Yeah. But and I can see that with horror movies though, because that seems to happen a lot more often.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uninspired horror movies out there.
Yeah. So that's Two Step. It's on VOD right now and playing in select cities. I would say if you're in the mood for a decent crime drama, you might want to check it out.
With that southern feel to it.
Yeah.
That Texas. Get that Texas crime going.
Yeah, and again, I'll say I like the backdrop. I like the seedy bars and the rundown
doing the Cotton Eye Joe
and stuff. Yeah, I liked all that stuff about it. So
your trailers and your Coors Lights, Coors,
your Pabst Blue Ribbon and your Budweiser,
and your Funyuns.
Funyuns, yeah. All right, so that's Two Step. let's move on and talk about some Wet Hot American Summer, first day of camp. Now, I'm a huge fan of Wet Hot American Summer, so as soon as I found out that they were doing this prequel, I was instantly on board. I was super hyped for this one. Now, you are also a pretty big fan of Wet Hot American Summer, right? So, this is an 8-episode prequel on Netflix. If you have Netflix, you can watch all the episodes now. The synopsis here says, follow the counselors and campers on their first day at Camp Firewood in the summer of 1981. The show is created by Michael Showalter and David Wayne. I think that, if I remember correctly, all the episodes were directed by David Wayne.
Ooh, I don't know.
Pretty sure that he directed all of them. Could be wrong about that. Oh, do I want to go through this cast list? Oh my god.
Everyone's in it.
So
Just say that.
we'll
like,
just say if you saw the first movie, everybody from the first movie is back in this, and they added a whole shitload of other people. We'll put it that way. It would take me 10 minutes to read off this cast list. I don't even understand. It's utterly ridiculous how they were able to pull this off. Kevin, we'll start it with you. What did you think of Wet Hot American Summer first day at camp?
It was pretty fun. I enjoyed myself for the most part, rolling through 8 episodes in essentially one day, just back to back to back to back. I don't think it quite captured the original.
I watched the original.
That's one thing that I wish I did. I wish I watched the original and then started this.
What I did was I watched this, and then after that I watched the original. So it was kind of, chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
And I will agree that I did think overall. Now, this is comparing what amounts to a 4-hour movie compared to just an hour and a half movie that was the original.
Yeah.
So overall, I would say that I thought the original was still funnier. I thought that I laughed more, and I still laugh more watching the original. And I've seen the original one countless numbers of times. I mean, this is one that I used to just watch and rewatch over and over again. I loved it so much, and it still makes me laugh. Now, I don't know how much of that is like nostalgia at this point, but I still think that the original one is very funny, and overall, yes, I will agree that I think that it is more funny than the new series.
The thing I enjoyed the most, origin story wise, was the can of vegetables.
Yeah.
Which was the main thing going in. That's all I wanted to know, was how are they going to do this?
Well, see, that's kind of the genius thing about this show, and kind of what David Wayne does in general. Like, he does the same thing with Children's Hospital, where once you start peeling away the layers and look at how it's set up and structured, you realize that this is kind of genius. Because when I rewatched the movie after seeing the series, I realized that what he does in the first day of camp is he sets up jokes where the punchline doesn't happen till the movie. So it's just this kind of like, I'll use another example. The vegetable can is a good one, but another example is with the character of Gail, Molly Shannon's character, and how in the movie, when you see the movie, all you know about her is that she's going through a divorce and she's upset because of this divorce. But in the show, you realize that she gets married and gets divorced like 5 times. So it adds a whole new layer. So when you see it in the movie, it's funny because you're like, oh my god, well, now we know that she just married that guy, several weeks ago. And it's like he uses the show as an opportunity to create new jokes in the movie, and I think that's just genius.
It is a pretty smart idea, because it does change the movie a little bit, and that because everyone's just going to go out and rewatch the movie now.
Oh yeah, and just like the whole introducing Lake Bell's character as Michael Showalter's girlfriend
'Cause see, and this is why I wanted to
That
rewatch it, because there's some things that I don't remember from the movie, from the original. There's a lot of things that I don't remember, actually. I pretty much remembered a can of vegetables, um, Christopher Maloney's character, and Chase Lounge.
Chase
That's,
Lounge.
that's about it.
One of my favorite scenes is still when just the scene where Paul Rudd is eating and finishes and throws his plate on the floor, and Janine Garofalo makes him pick it up, and just that whole sequence that serves almost no purpose to the movie whatsoever, but it's just so funny.
Uh,
And that's kind of the great thing about the movie and the series is that it's kind of a spoof, but not really. He throws in weird random stuff that give it kind of a spoof feel, but at the same time it's not like you're watching a Hot Shots or an Airplane
no.
or something. I think that the way that he
Because
handles
the other well, the other
handles it
thing
is
that makes it great in my eyes is yes, it's a spoof, and they're making fun of camp movies and everything. They're making fun of the time period, but at the same time, it is a good camp movie.
yeah.
Like not only is it a spoof of camp movies, but it's a good camp movie in and of itself. Like I put it up there with other
Yeah.
camp movies from the time that they're making fun of.
Now the other big thing that they worked with in the prequel was what's her name's character? Damn it. Why am I drawing a blank? Elizabeth Banks. Her character and how they gave her the whole backstory. She's in the movie. She's supposed to be 24, playing a 16-year-old, but she's a reporter. I love that they added that in there, that she was undercover, because that adds a whole new dimension to
This is just so
the movie as
ridiculous.
well.
It's just so
Yeah.
unbelievably ridiculous.
Oh god. Overall, I would say yes. It is. It lived up to my expectations. It's so wacky and ridiculous in every way. But I think that it captures the essence of the movie. I don't think that. I don't know if it could have surpassed the movie for me.
No, I don't think. Yeah, and which I think is kind of unfair because the movie, not only is the movie good, but for us, for me and you, it's one of those special movies.
Yeah, it's in my eyes, it's a classic.
Yeah,
It's
because it was probably one of our favorite comedies from growing up.
yeah.
So, there's the whole nostalgia factor. Plus, we watched that thing how many times? We quoted it how many times?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's not fair. It's never going to be topped. No matter what they did, they weren't going to top it.
But I think that what they did do with this, doing a prequel, first of all, making it the first day of camp, and then having it be an 8-episode miniseries while
Yeah.
bringing everybody back, I think that it was a really, really smart idea.
Well, you got so many things going on too. Number one, the idea of making it a prequel, even though it's how many years later. So they're
14 years later.
so they're all, they're supposed to be playing teenagers, but they're not. They're not even close.
Yeah, they weren't even close when the original movie came out. That was a joke in the original movie.
And it's even better here because, like Michael Showalter is just, it kind of looks like he let himself go. He just- So you have that going on. Plus, a lot of these actors they've gotten pretty big since then. To see
Oh,
him
yeah.
coming back and doing this is just, that's another layer to it.
Yeah, when you have Bradley Cooper coming back and Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler and Elizabeth Banks in these, relatively, I mean, they're not small roles, but it's definitely a huge ensemble.
Yeah. And then you have like a Mad Men reunion,
Yeah.
which was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, John Hamm and what's his name? John Slattery coming back.
John Slattery's
His outfit.
his oh my god, his sport coat.
That that sport
Lord have
coat was
mercy.
amazing. The
It's
shoulder
unbelievable.
pads, the shoulder
Jesus.
pads on that thing.
And it's like
Wow.
4 sizes too big. Oh my goodness. Just unbelievable. John Hamm's character, everything that happens there is just ridiculous.
Falcon.
Falcon. And I and my what is perhaps my favorite thing of the entire 8 episodes is when it's, they have the reveal and then Janine Garofalo is trying to figure out like the logistics of their plan, but he has to be somewhere
And
after well,
and Christopher Maloney's just he's trying to defuse it, and he's trying to say that he has to leave.
plus that was a good kitchen fight.
That was
Fight between
actually
those two was pretty badass.
that was actually a really good fight scene. They choreographed that, like, I was surprised at that.
Not only was it good choreography, but it was funny the entire time through, but it was a good fight scene at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was just fantastic. My goodness.
I liked Michael Cera as the young lawyer. I thought that was
and him old enough to take a big fat shit on
yeah.
your face.
I have that. I only wrote a few notes down on this show, and I wish I wrote more because there's a million quotables in this show. And one of the only ones that I wrote down is, "Are you even old enough to vote? I'm old enough to take a big fat shit on your face." The other thing I wrote down is phone number. I thought that was the scene where she gets the slip of paper and it says phone in parentheses and then number afterwards. It's little things like that, and a lot of the little throwaway lines are in this movie. Like at the beginning, one of my favorite lines in the movie is at the very beginning of the movie when Michael Showalter goes, "I want you inside me." And in this one at the beginning, I loved when Janine Garofalo was cracking the jokes and Michael Showalter they were just talking about how funny she is, and they're like, it's a dry wit.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. The only thing is, and which is par for the course with these guys, is for me it was hit and miss.
Oh yeah,
There's this thing that they do that just really irritates me is when they do it on purpose and it's supposed to be funny, but I never really find it to be funny. Is they'll say a joke and then they'll draw it out by explaining what the joke is, and then they just keep going with it, like explaining the joke that they just told, and I just that irritates me. I don't like that. It never works for me, and they do it quite often in this.
Yeah, I think that not all the jokes are winners for sure. I like Weird Al. I didn't that whole thing with him. It was fine, I guess, but
Didn't need it.
didn't need that. I mean, I didn't laugh at every single joke, but they're coming when the jokes come a mile a minute. They're just throwing jokes at you left and right, everywhere, all over the place. Not all of them are gonna land, but
I did enjoy Josh Charles. That was probably his finest work.
who's that?
He was Blake. He was the Camp Tiger Claw.
Oh,
The triple pop
yeah.
collar.
As soon as I saw that, the three polo shirts with the pop collar, I just started laughing. I'll tell you who was funny. The one guy, and I'm looking at the list here, and I don't see him. Oh wait, maybe that's him. Yes, John Early. He played the character of Logan, the theater guy who he got the part and then he lost the part to Paul Rudd. I thought he was really funny.
I did enjoy him.
I like what they did with Gene. They gave Gene a more robust background, and we learned a lot more about Gene. And I love how at the beginning of the show, the way he acted and the way he was dressed, and he was just so ridiculous.
When he's chasing Victor
Yes.
through the woods, and he has that gait that he has. Oh boy. Oh boy.
It's funny. I could literally go through this entire list of actors and say, oh, they were funny. They were funny. Like Michaela Watkins as the choreographer. She was hilarious.
Everyone delivers.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, even there are like some people in this that are in, so they have 4 lines, like Jordan Peele. Like he's hardly in it at all, but he's hilarious.
Rob Huebel's in it for just a little bit.
Yep, and so is
He's funny.
Paul Shear's in it too.
Uh,
Chris
Good
Pine.
times.
What did you think of Chris Pine's character of Eric?
That was that was maybe the weakest link, I think.
I thought he was funny at the beginning, but And of course, Kristen Wiig's in it too.
Well, I think that it's a rule now that she has to be in everything. That's,
She was funny though.
Yeah, her and her oyster fork.
Oh, yeah, I need that for later. One thing that I wanted more of in the show that they had a lot of in the movie was how negligent the counselors were when it came to actually taking care of these kids. Because if you remember in the movie, several of these kids die. They drown. But that's one interesting link that I didn't realize until I saw the movie.
But maybe that's why, because all these counselors are extremely damaged.
Well, that's what I have. I have written down here that it could be because we're dealing with the first day of camp versus the last day of camp. And by the last day, they're just worn down. They've been through hell.
Yeah,
Like they've seen
that
people.
was a rough first day of camp.
Yeah, I'd say so.
The majority of them probably have PTSD.
Probably.
They,
Several of them literally saw people being murdered. So
yeah. I mean, Eric, he really died. He died. I mean, he died hard. I mean, that was pretty traumatic. And that was the U.S. government and Reagan. When you have to fight off Reagan and missiles
And
the
Tiger
U.S.
Claw.
Army. Yeah. All at the end of a really tough day. I mean,
Couple connections that I didn't pick up on initially until I rewatched the movies. Camp Tiger Claw was in the movie, which I didn't know. There was the scene. Do you remember the scene where they made it to the baseball, the final game in their softball league, and Michael Ian Black was giving him this kind of rousing speech about how at the last second they need to come up with some kind of crazy trick play and win the game, and they were like, we don't want to do that, and the bus comes up and they just forfeit and that's it. That was Camp Tiger Claw. And the kind of buggy-eyed redheaded kid that's in the show, the bully kid,
yeah.
he's in the movie, and he's the one that drowns when Paul Rudd is making out with Elizabeth Banks.
That's awesome.
So that adds a whole layer to it too. That little shithead dies. I mean, I'm assuming that it's him because they're in the same bunk as Michael Showalter. So I'm assuming it's supposed to be the same character. I wish they brought back the throwing the kids out in the woods thing. I always thought that was really funny with the movie. And there weren't any, I mean, there were a couple montages, but there weren't any standout montages like the one in the movie where they went into town and got addicted to heroin and all of that stuff.
Yeah, which is them probably coping.
Yeah.
It makes a little more sense now.
It makes a lot of stuff in the movie. Like you said, the H. John Benjamin vegetable can makes more sense too, because they never even remotely explain that in the movie.
No. And I thought they did a great job with that.
It felt very 80s with the toxic waste.
Exactly.
And
also, why is he going out into the woods to check the toxic waste? Why does he have a can of vegetables with him?
Because he's eating it.
Yeah, but
everywhere he goes, he's eating those vegetables. Oh, there's a lot of weird stuff in this.
Oh, I love it.
I love the zoot suit that Bradley Cooper and Michael Ian Black. What did you think of the musical?
The musical was great, and that could have been its own thing.
Yeah,
that could have just been its own episode in its entirety. Because I was kind of intrigued by that storyline.
Same here.
Because it's so ridiculously over the top.
Same here.
Straight to the electric chair.
Yeah. So I think it's a pretty amazing thing that they did. Now, I'm assuming that they did it sort of like what they did with Arrested Development, where they kind of had people come in separately and shoot around their schedules and stuff like that, because it's the whole DJ ski mask thing with Bradley Cooper. I'm pretty sure that was to cover up the fact that he wasn't there when they shot that.
Could be. Could be.
And they popped in that one scene of him taking off the ski mask just to try to cover up the fact that he definitely was not there for that party scene. But I thought that they did a really good job of mixing it up. It's structured exactly like the movie, where it basically just jumps from short scene to short scene with all the various different plot points that are happening. And because it's a show, they really expanded it out. Like, everybody has their own little side stories happening.
Yeah.
Even like David Hyde Pierce, they brought him back, and which makes even more that helps the movie too, as to like why he is there and the fact that he just moved into that house and stuff.
Yeah. So it's a pretty good job of creating origin stories, giving backstory to everyone in the movie.
It just sucks because the fact that this exists is amazing, and now I just want more.
I know.
And I don't think that there's any way that they could do it again.
I want more, but at the same time, I don't.
Right.
Because I don't, you know what I mean? I don't see how you can really add anything else to this without kind of sullying it. I think we're good right where we are.
I agree. Yeah.
Now, the only thing that disappoints me is because I had to obviously watch all 8 episodes for the podcast. So I'm kind of bummed out that I just, I had to run through them.
Same here. Yeah.
I wish I got to just, an episode today, and then, a couple of days later, watch a second episode.
Space it out.
Yeah. Just savor it. But I had to, cram it all in because we're professionals.
Yeah.
Right?
I will say, also, other than Michael Showalter and Elizabeth Banks looked significantly older, most of the people looked pretty much the same as in the movie.
For the most part.
Which was pretty crazy. Like, Christopher Maloney looks the exact same. Paul Rudd looks pretty much the same. Marguerite Moreau, she looks almost the exact same. So, I like the fact that they were still playing 16-year-olds. They're in their 40s at this point. Most of them. But yeah, it's great. I loved it. I had a great time with it. Could have used a little bit more of child neglect, but other than that,
you're a big fan of child neglect.
Let me just nip that in the bud. I'm not for child neglect.
Sure.
I like the stuff with the kids. That stuff was not very.
Well, it's good to know that it started out strong.
Yeah.
That they were really taking care of these kids, and they were in their corner, and helping them out. And it just, it got to be too much by the end of camp.
Yep.
That's what, it's understandable.
I like what they did with the character of Abby, who was kind of the really like the super, super slutty one in the movie. She's played by Marissa Ryan, and how in this she hates boys so much, and she goes in the bathroom and comes out, and she's like 40 years older.
This is fun.
It's ridiculous.
Fun.
If you like the movie, absolutely see this. It will not, one of the big things about things like this, and we'll get to it in a minute when I talk about Vacation, is that you risk partially ruining your experience with the older stuff, like kind of, what they do with sequels and reboots and stuff. But this one doesn't ruin that experience. It's definitely a solid prequel, so I definitely recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need to give it a score or anything because it's a TV show, and honestly, I thought that some episodes were stronger than others.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's also one of those things where there were so many jokes, so many one-liners, so many things going on that I'm sure that I already forgot.
Yeah,
And
but
a number of them that really made me laugh.
as an overall experience.
Overall experience, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
If I had to score it, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10 probably.
I would recommend it, definitely. Especially if you're not a fan of the original movie, you don't give a shit anyways. You were never going to check this out. It's not going to win you over if you weren't a fan of the movie.
Yeah, because it is the same. It's the same style of comedy. It's very much, which is, I think, for me, as someone who likes the movie, that's a good thing. I like that they stuck with the same style of comedy.
Yeah, because that's what we all wanted anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Where they just randomly throw in some really weird, off-the-wall stuff and throw in some dark stuff here and there. But, yeah, it's great. Check it out. I mean, if only to see this ridiculous cast. I mean, holy shit. And they brought in so many more people, too. It's good enough that they brought in everybody from the movie, because most of these people have gone on to do, like, some pretty big things. But
yeah, to add
the fact that they brought in so many additional people is pretty crazy. All right. Any final thoughts on Wet Hot American Summer?
Nope.
No. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to some of what we've been watching. I think we'll start with you, Kevin.
Well, this should be short-lived because I only watched one other thing.
I only saw a couple things, too, so.
And wait for it. I saw What If.
All right.
Do you know what If is?
No.
Okay. It's rom-com with Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, yeah. No, I know what that is, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to see that.
I was not interested in this. Popped up. And I gotta say, I was kind of surprised. I enjoyed myself watching What If. There's good banter. I mean, most of the film is banter. But there is an odd thing, and everyone has great chemistry. Daniel Radcliffe, Zoe Kazan, or Wallace, here's the ridiculousness. Wallace and Chantry, which those are ridiculous names. But it's the Danny Radcliffe, Wallace character, wants to be with Chantry. She has a boyfriend, so he falls back to the friend zone. But of course he wants more than that. And then it's the whole will there, won't they? And how does he navigate this? And of course his best friend is Adam Driver, who's trying to give him some pointers, which all of his advice is terrible. And the banter's really good. Everyone has great chemistry together. It's really light, breezy, it's fun. But one of the odd things with the banter is it's really heavy with discussions about fecal matter, which is really odd. Like, they talk about shit a lot. I mean,
I kind of want to see it more now.
Yeah, more so than I think people actually do speak about shit. Because let's face it, shit comes up in discussion from time to time. But
yeah, it does.
They seem to go out of the way to talk exclusively about shit in they try and bring up shit in every conversation, which is it's really odd to see that. And that's one of their first discussions that they have, when they really kind of, I guess, find out that they have a lot in common, is when they're joking around about impacted feces.
Yeah.
Which it's odd. It's a risky move.
It is a risky move.
It's a risky move. For the most part, it works, but it does. I did find myself throughout the movie. Anytime that shit would come up, you're just kind of like, what? Why? Like, why is there so much dialogue revolving around shit? This is really odd.
It's probably to establish the fact that they have,
they're quirky. They're
very
quirky.
Compatible personalities. Yeah, because it's like, who else?
Who else? They're so quirky. They have quirky conversations. I will say that it's a bit too cute at times. Zoe Kazan's character plays she's an animator, so occasionally her drawings will come to life.
Okay.
And float throughout the city, but for no reason. Like, it adds nothing to the story whatsoever. I guess it's just them trying to be cute for some reason. I guess you have to have a certain quota of cuteness
these days. Yeah.
Yeah, these days in your rom-coms.
Well, it's interesting. This is the same guy that did Goon, which I was a huge fan of, and Goon 2 coming out.
Again, I'll say I was surprised. I mean, I didn't love it, but I enjoyed myself.
Did you see
I
Goon?
wasn't. No, I have not seen Goon.
That was a surprise for me.
I might have to check out Goon because of this.
Yeah, that one was definitely a surprise. I didn't expect that being as funny and good as it was.
And I mean, it ends up going to all the places you expect it to go, and it's very predictable. But like I said, it's light and fun. It's breezy. It's an easy watch. Some good dialogue in there. Great chemistry. So it's like a light recommend.
Cool.
Like a light.
Is that on Netflix?
Maybe. I got a DVD.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it on the hard disk.
All right. I saw Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Oh shit.
This I had a great time with this one. I had a
So
blast.
the entire nation goes rogue.
No, what it is it's a syndicate. So they discover that there's this syndicate that's comprised of former agents from all around the world.
Oh,
So that's
jeez.
why it's a rogue nation, because you got Russian intelligence, British intelligence, like former CIA operatives, stuff like that, and
Oh,
they
goodness.
form this syndicate that is hell bent on basically throwing the world into chaos, sort of. But man, holy crap! First of all, almost all the stunt work in this is practical, and Tom Cruise does all his own stunts. Now, say what you will about Tom Cruise, but I like most of his movies. I think that he's a decent actor, and I always have a lot of fun whenever I see one of his movies. And the fact that he did all of his own stunts in this movie is fucking crazy. It's crazy. The plane thing alone, that's what everybody's talking about, of course. That happens in the first scene. The first scene of the movie is the plane scene. So that should set the stage for what you're in for in Rogue Nation. There's a chase scene involving motorcycles. It's like a motorcycle chase scene. There's some cars involved too. Fantastic. Holy crap. Probably one of the best chase scenes. And I'm not a huge chase scene kind of guy, Kevin.
But this one.
This one was excellent. Holy crap.
Oh, goodness.
So much fun. A lot of comedy in this one too, just like in the previous Mission Impossible ones. Maybe I remember Ghost Protocol being really funny. Maybe it's the same amount as Ghost Protocol, maybe a little bit less, but it's still quite funny. That the banter that between everybody with Tom Cruise and Jeremy Renner and Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, and with this one they added Alec Baldwin. It's great. I had such a good time with this movie, and I saw it in the Dolby Atmos theater, so like the sound was incredible. And Rebecca Ferguson is great in this too. She plays a British. She's like undercover with the syndicate, but she's like it's crazy. There's all these like double crosses and triple crosses in it, which is another thing that I liked about this, was that it wasn't all big, giant, bombastic set pieces. They throw in a lot of espionage and sort of heist type scenes in there too. So it's a nice blend of everything that you would want out of a Mission Impossible movie, and I thought it was probably the best of the entire series.
You're getting me excited.
I
Getting
highly
excited for some Mission Impossible.
you will have fun with it. It's a great movie. So highly recommend checking out Rogue Nation. One that I do not recommend is Vacation. Bet you didn't see that coming.
Yeah, people don't seem to be liking this.
I think that I honestly didn't mind it as much as some people. Like Blake reviewed it for us on the site. He gave it a 2 out of 10. I would probably give it a 3.5 or 4.
Whew, there we go.
The one thing, and I've said this before on the show, that the one thing that I was worried about is that it seemed a lot more mean-spirited than the original Vacation, and it was. And that was something that really brought it down. For most of the movie, it just felt like this family hated each other. Like they were not likable people.
Yeah.
And there's something about it when you have characters like this that just seem to be they don't like each other, that it kind of makes the movie lose a lot of its heart. And
Well, and see, that's what's the fun thing about the original, where we kind of pointed out before, where you have the dark stuff and you have some of the mean-spirited things, but you have that juxtaposition where they're just like a wholesome family. So that adds something to that type of comedy that you throw in there. But if they're just shithead, detestable people,
yeah, exactly.
it doesn't work the same way.
And that's unfortunately how this was. I mean, one of the things about the original Vacation is that through all these terrible situations that they found themselves in, they supported each other. They were going through it together. Whereas in this movie, it just seems like, oh, this bad thing's happening to Rusty, and this bad thing's happening to the older brother because the younger brother's bullying him, like mercilessly bullying the older brother. And then like Christina Applegate's character, like she didn't care at all, and she was just not happy in her marriage, and it's just it just wasn't nice. It didn't feel nice. It felt like, and it relied way too heavily on gross out comedy. I mean, almost all the jokes were gross out jokes. There's like vomiting jokes. There's pube jokes. Just
gotta have those pube jokes.
There's way too much reliance on that, which sucks because there was potential here. There were some things that I thought really were funny. The Tartan Prancer, the car that they rent, was funny. It was really funny to see the Tartan Prancer in action because it's called a Tartan Prancer. And the key fob had all these crazy buttons on it, and one of them was a swastika, and one of them was a rocket, and one of them was a muffin. And I thought that all of that stuff with the car was really funny. Like one of the buttons just made all the windows blow out of the car, and one of the buttons just turned the seat around to the back, and you see that in the trailer. Which is the other thing. All the funniest bits of this movie are in the trailer.
Well, you should know it's the Hollywood movie. It's the only way they can
which is
market their films.
That's really unfortunate. It's a shame because, like I said, I did see the potential here, but they just didn't really do anything with it.
Mm.
The opening titles were really funny. They used awkward family photos in the opening titles. That was funny. But, it's unfortunately a failure. And I saw it yesterday afternoon at a pretty centrally located theater here in Manhattan. And there was two other couples in the theater. So I don't think it's doing too good.
Goodness.
So yeah, unfortunately can't recommend Vacation. If you're a fan of the original, stay away from this one because it may sully that for you.
We're all about the word sully.
I saw
it's a favorite here on the show.
I saw Lego Brickumentary. Not a lot to say about it. It's a documentary about Lego. It's less about the history of Lego and more about kind of where Lego has gone and the different uses for Lego and the different types of people that are into Lego, from professional artists to using Lego as a form of therapy for autism, to people that do competitions and stuff. It's somewhat interesting, but it's not great. I was actually more interested in learning about the history behind Lego. And they do get into it, but it's really abbreviated. Like they kind of fly through it really quickly at the beginning of the movie. It's okay. A lot of it is it's narrated by Jason Bateman, and it's all animated, so he's a Lego character in it, which I guess adds a little charm to the movie.
I could see that.
They talk about the Lego movie, of course, and they interview like Phil Lord and Chris Miller and talk about that. And
I'm getting a sense that this is like a documentary that's just like kind of constantly pointing out the fact of them just saying like, "Look how fucking great we are."
Sort of, yeah. And they do point out, because for a while there, Lego wasn't doing so good. Before they started picking up the licenses for like Star Wars and all of that stuff, they were not doing very good at all. And
No.
they admit that. Like they admit that they fucked up in the early 2000s with where they were going with the company. So they do kind of point out the flaws with Lego, but yeah, mostly it just talks about the people that the company has had a positive impact on. It really focuses on that. So it's fine. It's not great. It's just kind of one of those fluff documentaries. So yeah, that's available now on VOD, so you can check that out if you're interested. If you're a fan of Lego, I like Lego, but
I don't need to see a documentary about Lego. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I'm a fan of Legos, and I'm just gonna keep it at that because they're fucking plastic blocks.
there's a coffee table book that they came out with a couple years ago, and I think that probably accomplishes more in talking about the trajectory of Lego and where it's gone and all that stuff. So it's a really cool looking coffee table book.
Yeah, I'm just kind of getting tired of the trend of like everything needs to have a documentary.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
anything that's
I don't, man.
remotely popular has to have a
Yeah,
doc.
it's like we don't need that. Can we stop that? I
Yeah,
appreciate that you watch all of them, and I don't.
I had the time, so I figured I'd just check it out. The only other one that I'll mention is a movie called Blood Creek from 2009. The only reason I want to mention this is because of how ridiculous it is. It's directed by Joel Schumacher, and it stars Michael Fassbender, and it's basically a slasher movie where Michael Fassbender is the slasher.
Mm-hmm.
He's an immortal Nazi
What?
who...
Just back up real quick. Just back up.
Mm-hmm.
Start from the top.
Michael Fassbender
Okay.
is an immortal Nazi,
Okay.
and he has the ability to create additional zombies.
Hold up.
So he'll kill somebody or something, and then he says these magic words and turns them into zombies.
Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
early on in the movie, he does it to a horse, and he creates a zombie horse,
No.
and the zombie horse attacks
No.
people.
The zombie horse kills people.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah,
And this is directed by who again?
Joel Schumacher.
Like Joel Schumacher? Joel Schumacher?
Yes. Batman Forever.
Is this an elaborate joke?
It seems like it, but no, this is a real movie, believe it or not. And it also stars Henry Cavill.
Superman.
Yeah, Superman.
Oh my god, are you serious?
And it is super gory, too. Over the top gore in this. Ridiculous levels of gore. It starts off really interesting because they just throw you in. You don't know what the hell's going on. And Henry Cavill's brother shows up. And I can't remember his name, but it's the one guy from that Prison Break show. And he's currently in the Flash TV series. He shows up and he's like, you got to come with me. Because his brother's been missing for 2 years. And he's like, you got to come with me. Get your guns, get 2 days worth of provisions, and come with me. And Henry Cavill's like, all right, let's go. And they go to this farmhouse and they start killing everybody at this farmhouse. And Henry Cavill still has no idea what's going on. And then
He's just wholeheartedly trusting his brother, just walking in and killing everyone.
well, he sort of is. He holds off on the killing part
Okay.
until somebody comes after him and he ends up shooting him. But yeah, then it gets into this whole thing where it's like Michael Fassbender is a Nazi from back in the 30s, and he discovered this stone that allows you to be immortal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you have to like keep sacrificing. Like it needs blood or something.
Yeah.
So you
that
have
makes
to
sense.
keep. So what they would do is they would kidnap people. They would find people and kidnap and hold them for years and years and periodically drain them.
Mm-hmm.
And that would
Yeah, I
sustain
mean,
their lives.
You have to do that. Most immortality stones. That's kind of the protocol.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate. But
It's
that's
a
the way it
trade
works.
off. It's a
Yeah.
trade off. It's ridiculous. After I was watching it, I was like, oh man, I want to give this like 4 stars on Letterboxd because this is so ridiculous. But it wears out its welcome. The novelty wears off pretty early on. So it's Michael Fassbender, and he's this crazy, insane looking Nazi monster.
This sounds amazing.
And you think like, oh, maybe that came out a long time ago. No, it's 2009. It didn't even come out that long ago.
How did this sneak by?
I don't know. It's crazy though. It is crazy. If you do want to see some ridiculous horror, check this one out. And it's directed by Joel Schumacher too, which makes it even more ridiculous.
Yeah, none of this makes sense. None of it.
Yeah.
But I'm interested. I'm interested because it doesn't make sense.
Yep. And that's called Blood Creek. Let's talk about some predictions.
All right.
Last week, we said Vacation. You said 62, I said 65, actual 23 on Vacation.
Bit off.
Yeah, we were a little bit off on that one. I was hoping that it would be good, but I was definitely afraid that it was going to be exactly what it was. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, you said 84, I said 87, actual 93.
Wow.
Yeah, again, check it out. It's one to see in the theater for sure. Next week we have Fantastic Four. This is one where I consistently forget that it even exists.
Yeah, same here.
I have no idea how this one's going to turn out. It might surprise everybody, but to me it looks like...
I don't think it's going to.
To me it looks like a superhero movie from the 90s, the late 90s.
That's mean not good?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's just a nice way of putting it.
It just looks so generic to me. Like the trailers and stuff, nothing appeals to me with that. I'll start it off, and I'll say 42 on that.
Okay, I was afraid you were going to take it. I'm going to say 44.
Okay. We also have Shaun the Sheep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a claymation.
Okay.
That's the people behind Wallace and Gromit, right?
Probably.
I think it is.
I have no idea. I'm just going to say yes.
What are you thinking on Shaun the Sheep?
Shaun the Sheep, I'm going to say 90.
90, okay. I will say 87 on that one. It seems like one that would be. Yeah. And finally we have Ricky and the Flash.
Okay. What is this?
It's the one, the Diablo Cody one with Meryl Streep.
Oh my goodness.
This looks
atrocious.
Amazingly horrible. So I will say, but I don't know. Might get the street bump. I'm gonna say no. It's not gonna get the street bump, and I'll say 36.
Oh, I'm gonna say 42.
In limited release next week, we have The Gift. I think that's with Jason Bateman, like a horror movie.
Bateman in a horror movie?
I think so. We have Dark Places. We have The Diary of a Teenage Girl, Cop Car, and The Runner. I'm interested in Cop Car, the one with Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon in a cop car?
It's about two kids that he plays like a crooked cop, and two kids steal his cop car.
Oh, man.
And then he goes after him, tries to kill him, I guess. Next week on Video on Demand, we have Shooting the Warwicks, 5-Star, Spare Change, and those are on Tuesday. On Friday, we have The Runner, Dark Places, and I guess that's it. On Blu-ray, next week, we have Inner Space is getting a Blu-ray release. Nice. I think I'm going to have to pick that up because I love Inner Space.
Dennis Quaid.
Oh, yeah. Classic Quaid.
Classic Quaid. It's short.
Yep. I love Inner Space, man. Holy crap. We have Insurgent. Let's see. The Salvation. Wormwood. I recommend that one. That's a pretty fun Australian Mad Max style horror movie. True Story, Child 44, Barely Lethal, Toolbox Murders 2.
That's a lot of Toolbox Murders.
Yeah. Madame Bovary. Let's see what else we got here. The Nightmare. A lot of stuff next week. Do You Believe?
In what? Is that a Christian movie?
Yeah, it's a Christian movie. I think, is that the one that has like some pretty big name people in it?
Well,
I think it is.
oh, it's from the creators of God's Not Dead.
Yeah, but I think it. Who's
Yeah,
it?
Mira Sorvino.
Sean Astin.
Delroy Lind.
Yes.
Sybil Shepherd.
Yeah, that actually has people in it. I'm wondering how much they got paid to do that.
They gotta get the payday's gotta be good, or they're just in dire straits, or a combo of both.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Free Willy's getting a Blu-ray release, as is Blast from the Past, starring Brendan Fraser and Alicia Silverstone. Blast from the Past.
What's he doing now?
I don't know.
That's a documentary that needs to be made. Where's Brendan Fraser?
I want to see a documentary about the clip that they always show with him at the Oscars doing the clap and the point thing. I just want to see a documentary about that. What do we got on Criterion?
We have one Criterion at the 1950s Night and the City from Jules Dassin.
It's got an awesome cover.
Yeah. Jules Dassin, good times.
I might have to check this one out, actually.
This is right up your alley.
Yeah.
This is so far up your alley.
I know.
It's probably uncomfortable. It's so deep in your alley. It's ridiculous.
I have to get it surgically removed.
Correct.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week. Send us your questions to podcastfilmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter @FilmPulseNet and @FilmPulseKevin. And please take a look at our Patreon page. Patreon.com/FilmPulse is the address. And consider subscribing for as little as $1 per month. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie.